glass of water, or it's a glass half full or half empty. Now, depending on who you ask, some people would describe this as half full, and some people would describe it as half empty. The half full people we would call optimists, positive thinkers. The half empty people we would call pessimists, negative thinkers. And which one's better? Many people say, well, an optimist is better, a positive thinker is better. But actually, it's situational. If you were doing a parachute jump and you wanted someone to check your parachute, who would you like to ask? The pessimist who check it 3 or 4 times to mitigate the risk? Or would you like the optimist who would look at it and go, yeah, it'll be fine, have a nice flight? Of course, in that situation, it's the pessimist. So it's not positive or negative, it's the situation with which you're applying it. Of course, you'd get another sort of person who would look at this, we call them opportunists. They say, hey, I'm thirsty, there's some water, I'm going to drink it. And then you have scientists who would look at this and they would say, well, actually, it's not half full or half empty because there's some measurements you need to take and there's evaporation, blah, blah, blah. Now, what's really interesting, of course, is if you think about how much this glass of water weighs, whether it's half full or half empty. Most people, when I ask this question, they would say typically it weighs around maybe 250, 300, 350 grams, depending on the weight of the glass. So, 300 grams for me, it's not heavy. I can lift 300 grams easily. If I go to the gym and I ask for a personal trainer to give me a hand and say, look, I want to lift some weights, and he goes, yeah, how much would you like to lift? I go, 300 grams, please. He would probably laugh. Why? Because lifting 300 grams for me is easy. Except I have been holding this glass of water for 2 minutes and around about 6 seconds now, give or take. Now, what's really interesting is over the time that I've been holding this glass of water, the weight of the water has remained the same. Unless you ask a scientist, because a scientist would say, well, actually, technically, Darren, there has been some evaporation. I would argue any sentence that begins with the word technically, you might be technically right, but you might actually lose the argument. Be aware of that. So over the last 2.5 minutes now, my arm has been holding this glass of water up, and the weight of the water, for want of a better phrase, has remained virtually constant. But my capability of holding the water is dropping. In fact, if I try to hold this for another 10 minutes, the lactic acid would be building up in my shoulders and my ability to hold the water would drop. So I'm going to put the water down before I spill it. So here's a thought. It doesn't matter how big or how small your problems are in life, because that's what this can represent. The longer that you hold any problem in your mind without an active solution, the harder it is for you to thrive in your work or your personal life. So it doesn't matter if it's half full, being a positive person, or half empty, being a negative person. It's the situation with which you apply it. But equally, if you have a problem in your life, get some help. There are so many people who can help you, whether online, in person, whether it's family, friends, or a paid professional. You have never lived in a time where it's easy to get support and help. It doesn't matter if you think, oh, you know what, it's stupid because my problem's only small. Yeah, it might only be small. But the longer it stays in your mind, the longer and harder it is for you to live a proactive, a positive life full of huge, unbelievable goals. So put the glass down, get some help, and do what you can to enjoy your work and love life.